guys, let me teach you some fireball tips. One, I've talked about this a lot. It's hard to see against a CPU, but always try to perfect parry into EX fireball, because that situation right there happens against real players constantly. But I just showed. Gotta wait for the second fireball. When you perfect parry, and yeah, I did it a little slow, but when you perfect parry and EX fireball, I was showing people yesterday against real players over and over again about this, but people assume they have the fireball advantage and they chuck a fireball, but perfect parry makes you have like no recovery frames, right? Because like compared to like, look at this. See, then he could have blocked, you know? Oops. Right, then he did block, see? But when you perfect parry, you get a lot more time. So people always assume they have the fireball advantage after they see you're gonna block a fireball. So perfect parry kind of just like alters that time, and it's like your turn now. So really good, because people usually dash after they think a fireball's gonna hit you. They try to chuck another fireball. They try to get the advantage. So they're usually not ready for an EX fireball right after. And then EX, obviously, if they throw another fireball, you win. And then the best part is, see how I'm buffering it every time, but I'm not getting the perfect parry, so it doesn't even come out. But when I do get the perfect parry, when I don't fuck up, I can't get the perfect parry. There, you'll get it. So that's the nice thing about perfect parries in this game. You can always pre-buffer what you want to do without having to like fully commit to it. But next part of the fireball game is that I only throw heavy fireballs in combos where I have to, or when I'm trying to trip somebody up. That's it. That is the only time you see me throw heavy fireballs. And the reason I do that is because first let me make them stop. For one, you actually throw fireballs later when you do light. See how that's 16 frame startup compared to heavy fireball, which is 12 frame startup? But they're the same total frames. So on block, if I do jab into fireball, see that's -4, while heavy fireball is going to be -8, which is punishable, right? So slower activation time for better recovery. So oftentimes, but same total frames. So if someone's going to jump in on you when you do a heavy fireball, they're going to jump in on you when you do a light fireball. It doesn't really matter, right? So I usually throw slow fireballs. Medium fireball is actually my favorite to throw, because what I like to do is I'll go medium, slow, fast, slow, type it, and then after that I kind of mix it up. But see, I throw mediums because like I want to catch them unsuspected. But sometimes if you throw slow fireballs and condition them, they'll get used to that speed always. So then when you throw a random fast one, it trips them up. And also, like I said, from this type of range, slow fireball is your best bet, because if you do a heavy fireball, what was I gonna say? If you do a heavy fireball, they have to activate super to go through it faster if they're pre-buffering super. So what that means is that you have more recovery time, aka the super is more likely to land against a light fireball where they have to wait a little bit, so you have more time to recover. Hopefully I'm making some sense to people. But it's very simple, like no shit type of stuff when you say it out loud, but in matches, I promise you, most people are just throwing fast fireballs. So medium usually, I usually throw light fireballs, and I'm gonna cap, but medium fireballs should be like your go-to. And then throw a slow fireball every once in a while to trip people up, especially if they're trying to parry every fireball, because it makes them not be able to perfect parry it. And like we just showed you about perfect parry and EX fireball, but makes them hard to perfect parry, and you can use more of the drive meter for trying to wait for the fireball with the parry hit, right? Little wins, but yeah, the trick is to throw fast fireballs rarely, so it catches them off. And you know what I'm talking about. If you ever fought a Guile and they throw an EX fireball that's lightning fast and you just get hit by it because you're not ready for it, it's literally just that, but without the EX. Yeah, so you throw 2 fast fireballs and a slow fireball, they're always going to pre-buffer that shit. Sit there for a second before the parry actually takes out. Throwing fireballs full range, the reason why you want to throw a slow one is so you can follow it, right? You're not trying to actually, I talk about this a lot. When you throw a fireball, half the time you don't want them to hit. The only time I want them to hit is when I throw a fast fireball, right? Usually I'm throwing a fireball so I can follow it, you know? You want it to create space. You want it to create space, and you want them to jump. You don't want the fireball to actually be the thing that hits. You want them to jump so you can hit them harder. That's essentially what you're looking for when you throw a fireball. Or just space control. So when you do want a fireball to hit, in actuality, you'll usually want to throw it in a range where it's risky like this, where they're not expecting as much. Because if I throw a fireball right here, right, they're a lot less likely to want to jump right then. From here, they're going to want to jump because that's the perfect jump arc. You don't want to throw a fireball at perfect jump arc. You want to throw a fireball when they can jump, but it's awkward. Like this. See, I can't reach with this. I can't reach with that. I guess I can reach with sweep, but that's when you want to throw fireballs. Or when you actually want them to hit. Because then it makes them want to jump at this range when you know it's not a good thing. Then you can back up and wait, yada yada. Walk forward, whatever. Just to make sure this guide's not just for Akuma, by the way, but also you should find a button that looks like it's a fireball. A lot of people tend to do jab. So if you see people jabbing like over here in a distance, it's trying to bait something from the opponent, usually a jump. Might be a super, it could be a lot of things. You're just trying to bait them to do something, right? Now, I like Akuma's stand medium punch because it looks more like a fireball. I'll show you. Here's a fireball, here's a jab. They don't look too much the same. Here's a fireball, here's a medium punch. See how he kind of turns his body when he does this? Kind of like he turns his body for a fireball when he shoots it out. Thus, for some reason, this baits a lot of people. I get a lot of mileage out of it to bait them to jump in and get DP. Looks something like this. Obviously that was fabricated, but here's a real example of it happening. I forgot. I could have won right then, but my brain stuttered. I had to do light DP in a level 3, but my brain stuttered. Other thing to note, this isn't really about the fireball game, and I kind of talked about this already, but shooting a slow fireball, then drive rushing behind it is so good. And the reason is because you can DP instantly after drive rush. Sure, it uses some meter, but very easy to follow up a fireball and then just quickly do that. It's not, okay, it's not instant, but it's faster than like any other option, essentially. So yeah, it usually works full screen. Closer, it's kind of harder to predict, but if you shoot a slow fireball, yeah, if you shoot a slow fireball from full screen away, and you want to follow up, very good. Because usually full screen away, people aren't as scared to jump fireballs. You normally don't want to throw EX fireballs from full screen. It can work, but even during a fireball game, normally they have a lot more time to react, and you're just wasting 2 bars of drive gauge. You want to at least be a little closer like that before you throw an EX fireball. Because they're fast, it catches people off guard. From this range, they have more time to react. It might hit, but it's a lot more of a gamble. You're welcome. See you next time.